Imperialism is a policy of extending a country's power and influence through diplomacy or military force. This occurred all throughout Africa. Sudan's main goal was to build a colony and utilize the Nile's rich fertile land. As a colony, Sudan was valued because of the Nile River and it was an economic trade center. In addition, Sudan also had a port, which promoted trade by water.
The British took control of Sudan. British took control of Sudan because it was fertile, had petroleum and other natural riches. The British controlled Sudan because they already had control of Egypt. In addition, Sudan provided a link in the chain of territory from Cairo to Cape. The British wanted to modernize Sudan and make it similar to other Western countries. They also wanted the southern part of Sudan to remain isolated and backwards. The British also implied heavy taxes on Sudan.
The resistance to imperialism was led by Ismail al-Azari. He favored ties with Egypt. Another upriser named Ahmad al-Mahdi killed Egyptian troops in rebellion. These were all resistance to imperialism.
After numerous crusades and rebellions, the British and Egyptians agreed to a 3-year troop removal period. After that, they gave independence and they recognized Sudan as their own country on January 1st, 1956.
The new government was short-lived. Azari was overthrown by Lieutenant General Ibrahim Aboud. He dissolved parliament, suspended the constitution, proclaimed martial law, and installed himself as prime minister. Also, the civil war continued in the south.
Sudan was up in turmoil, so its culture preservation is unknown. But in the south, soccer and basketball teams have been made, passports have been ordered, and a national anthem has been written and sung. Sudan has a government of a republic, and it contains a judicial branch, a legislative branch, and executive branch. However, it's considered to be one of the most corrupt countries in the world because multiple terrorist groups are able to roam freely throughout the country. The flag of Sudan has 3 equal horizontal bands of red, white, and black, and a green triangle on the side. The red signifies the struggle for freedom. The white signifies peace. The black represents Sudan because in Arabic, Sudan means black, and green is the color of Islam, agriculture, and prosperity. The Darfur genocide occurs in the Darfur region of Sudan, and it began in 2003.
The genocide is being carried out by a group of government-armed and funded Arab militias known as the Janjaweed. The Janjaweed systematically destroyed Darfurians by burning villages, looting economic resources, polluting water sources, and murdering, raping, and torturing civilians.
It is believed that the Janjaweed did this to non-Arab and non-Muslim people. As of today, over 480,000 people have been killed and over 2.8 million people are displaced. The
United Nations and Western countries have tried to send help, but this is not enough to prevent the massacre of many people.
Southern Sudan and Northern Sudan have a history of conflict. The origin of the conflicts are complex and partly dated back to the colonial era. Sudan's former British rulers gave Khartoum dominance over the unified country, laying the groundwork for the Southern independence movement. The South's population is mostly Christian and identifies culturally with its Eastern African neighbors, while the North is predominantly Muslim and Arab. Feelings of alienation led to the First Civil War, a conflict that dragged for nearly 2 decades and killed at least 500,000 people and ended in 1972.
The Civil War ended in 1972 with the so-called Addis Ababa Agreement. It granted autonomy to Southern Sudan. The agreement began to fray in the late 1970s following the discovery of oil in border regions between the North and the South. It collapsed completely in 1983 when the President Ghaffar Namiri declared Sudan an Islamic state, imposing Sharia law and alienating the southern population.
The Second Sudanese Civil War was from 1983 to 2005. It was between the central government and the Sudanese People Liberation Army. The motive behind the war was for the independence of the South because their Christian and non-Arab citizens were constantly being oppressed by their Arab and Muslim neighbors. Roughly 2 million people have died as a result of war, famine, disease caused by the conflict. 4 million people in southern Sudan were displaced. South Sudan gained independence from Sudan in July 2011 as the outcome of a 2005 peace deal that ended Africa's longest-running civil war. An overwhelming majority of the South Sudanese people voted for independence from Sudan in January 2011. This led to the split of South Sudan from Sudan and the independence and the forming of a new country.
The Sudanese government plans to empty the Darfur area of Jebel Mara. It wants to get rid of all inhabitants and transform it into a base for all terrorist groups. These terrorists will come from countries such as Egypt, Chad, Mali, and Cameroon. This will increase the fear of genocide for many citizens because genocide has been occurring in Darfur for a very long time. Now, with more terrorist groups moving in, the fear of it will be heightened and more people will be killed. Here are some fun facts about Sudan. The long conventional form is the Republic of Sudan. The capital of Sudan is Khartoum. The population growth rate is 1.88%. The highest point in Sudan is Jebel Mara, and it stands at 3,071 meters high. The lowest point in Sudan is the Red Sea, at 0 meters. Finally, Sudan has 17 different states. Alright, thank you for watching.